Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So I wasn't planning on doing a reading today. I thought I got it all out yesterday, but apparently no, they want me to continue with it. So I just dropped my son off from school and I was walking home and the messages started coming in, and it was that kind of Queen of Pentacles Capricorn energy, and Capricorn's last reading had this thing about I'm getting a lot of stuff about trees and roots, so bear with me with this one. So Capricorn's reading had this thing about a tree getting almost chopped in half and someone almost stealing. It was like the dream thief, right? Stealing the best of the harvest, the best of the crop. And so all Cappy was left with were these the stump of a tree and the foundations and the roots. And funnily enough, as I was thinking about this, Roots by Imagine Dragons started playing, which was the song that came through in yesterday's reading, which was kind of a triple reading of Libra, Capricorn and Cancer. It came through as a lot of the energy kind of felt like Libra, and then we had this like this Roots energy that felt like a different energy, and I feel like it's this energy. So you don't have to be Capricorn, by the way. It could be different placements and things like this, because I have actually pulled clarifiers for who we're talking about here. And we've got Queen of Wands, King of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, King of Wands and Knight of Pentacles. So this could be talking about star signs, it could be talking about different placements, specifically Mars. I'm getting a lot of Mars energy, which I'll kind of come back to, so do check that out. But we have Sagittarius, Virgo, Leo for me as a reader. But I feel Capricorn, so take that as you will. So yeah, this thing about like the roots, right? The roots of the trees, and I'm really getting like reinforcing the roots, reinforcing the foundations. So in my head, it was like, it had this feeling of somebody who's been doing a lot of work, right? And they're trying to have this growth, or they're trying to reach a higher level of potential or something like this. And it's like someone comes in and swipes it. You know, somebody comes in and kind of takes all the labor of all their hard work. You know, it feels like being done wrong by, especially if you go and listen to the song Roots by Imagine Dragons. Another day, another high, another low, rock bottom, right? So it's like hitting that rock bottom again, or just being left with the foundations, left with the roots of this. And almost like the icing going off the top of the cake, and you're just left with like the sponge. But it's like the way it's coming through is like the root system itself is profitable. The root system itself is viable. It's like that's where the real money is. They're kind of giving me that just now. They're giving me that thing about, it's funny because I was talking about building wells and like water and stuff in yesterday's reading, but now they're giving me that thing about if you give a man a fish he can eat for a day, but if you give a man the ability to fish he can eat for a lifetime, right? So it's like this energy came in and took the top of the tree off with like the fruits of the labor, right? But it's like the tree itself can grow again and give you fruit every year, right? And not only that, like the root system can spread and make more plants. So it's like, for example, it's like say you had a business on or say you had a house, right? Say you had a house on like a piece of land, like a piece of property, and you know, say something happened, there was some kind of law case, and like, you know, your business partner or, you know, your partner got like the house and all the actual assets, or like a camper van, right? Like a camper van parked on a piece of land, and they take the house and they take the stuff that was in the house, they take all the valuables, but it's like, oh, actually, you know, you find out that the land itself has like oil under it, right? Or you find out the land itself has like some kind of like mycelium, or like, I don't know, psilocybin, or like just because of the connectivity, which I'll come back to again, or like truffles, right? It's like the land itself, or it's like the land itself is gonna undergo some kind of gentrification wave, and you know, it's going to increase in value like exponentially, right? You're going to be able to build a house on it and like have people pay rent on it, which is going to be like really profitable. So it's something about like the division. Like, even though you've been robbed of something that you've worked really hard on, it's like what you're left with is more profitable in the long run. Like, you've got the good bit, right? So again, this kind of long-term Capricorn thinking coming in. So how do we reinforce these foundations? How do we make these roots viable is the kind of the question that I'm coming up with. And kind of as I was asking this question, the song changed, and it changed to, let me just get my notes, it changed to Ziggy Stardust by Bauhaus. It's like and spiders from Mars, right? So again, this Mars energy. So it's something about bringing in the stars, taking it higher, And there's something in that song as well about, because obviously it's talking about David Bowie, who's a Capricorn, coincidentally, and how people can get very jealous. Like, there's a lot of karma around Capricorn energy, a lot of jealousy, a lot of like people wanting to knock you down because they're jealous. So if I just actually pull up the song, the words to that song, let me just pull some of them out. So I don't know if it's like a lesson in ego or something like that. Again, this thing about like getting knocked down. Ziggy, Stardust, Bauhaus. Just pulling up the lyrics. So Ziggy played guitar, jamming good with Weird and Gilly, and the Spiders from Mars. He played it left hand, but made it too far. So I was getting something about my left wrist, actually. My left wrist felt really weird, so I'm going to come back to that as well. So it talks about how good he is, right? How he can lick them just by smiling, right? And leave them to hang. So it's like somebody who's doing really well, you know, a lot of attention on them. And they get jealous, right? His God-given ass, making love with his ego. Yeah, so like, I don't know. It could be like also something about like destroying the alter ego, right? Like the alter ego, the caricature of the performer being too big, and having to destroy that and start again. Something, I don't know if somebody's like an actor or a performer, and like they, you know, something about destroying the character, or destroying the person's character, you know, about like you know, reputation. Somebody could be trying to damage somebody's reputation or something like that, because again of like jealousy, of feeling like somebody has, you know, an ego that's like too big for the boots, or something like they're doing too well, and being too strange, and people being jealous of that, especially if you've got that kind of Stardust, starseed energy attached to you. Like Capricorns can be very odd, right? Brilliant but odd, right? So Spiders from Mars. So it was also giving me something about, because I keep getting spiders, and spiders, so spider warning, I'm going to show you cards with images of spiders on if you're not a fan of those. So spiders talk about connectivity, right? So again, like the root system, the connectivity of a root system, the connections you have, the family you have, like the family links, the family tree, the resources that you can pull in. It's like casting your net wide and pulling in the resources is the way it's coming through. So this was kind of like the answer. This is why the root system is important, right? So I have been pulling cards out, but I kind of pulled them out intuitively to put a visual on what I'm seeing. So it's like, so Capricorn, you are like the spider and the octopus if you're coming through as a Capricorn today, or you have Capricorn placements. It's like that root system. It's like casting your net wide, right? Casting your net wide so that you can pull in resources, or almost like put the antennae out. I don't know, again, this could be like a psychic thing, like putting the psychic net out wide. So like if there's like a rumbling, you get the vibrations of that. So again, that could be talking about like the grapevine, you know, like the rumor mill, you know, like hearing about things quickly, being a little bit ahead of the game because you've got a lot of connections. So again, that kind of Capricorn energy being like networking and being in the business world, but also this idea of like it all working together as a system, right? So like the trees, like individual trees in like a forest, the root system is connected not only by the roots itself, but also by like the ground and the mycelium in the ground. And this works as kind of like an early warning system. So if there's, I'm hearing a rumble in the jungle. If there's a rumble in the jungle, right? If there's like logging happening on one side of the forest or the jungle, it's like the other side, feels the vibrations of it. It's like a communication system, like telephone wires, but underneath the root system of the trees. So it's like, use that, right? That is part of your, that's part of your like natural ability. So like the octopus as well, like putting out the feelers. So you could be like putting out the feelers, trying to get more information from your friendship group, from your network, from your family, right? Trying to get information. But there's something as well about, it's like, these are the spiders to me. So they are fire ants, and normally they have this thing about like being under attack, right? It's like they're coming they're coming in. But I'm almost kind of seeing it as like, today, it's like you are drawing these in. It's like how the root system draws in resources. It's like you're pulling them in. So pulling in your friends, pulling in your connections, pulling in your network as almost like a support or a nutrient to grow from, right? It's like this is something that you are using as a resource, like this network. And again, it's like the 10 of Cups and like the Ace of Pentacles. So it's like, this is something you work on. This is something you're very good at. This is something that you're very skilled at. There's other people involved. It's like a whole system, right? Underground system. Right. So there's a lot, right? This is going to be one of those readings. What do I want to go to next? So let's go over here. So the Devil card did kind of keep showing itself, which is Capricorn energy. Again, talks about, again, like the karmic cycles that Capricorn deals with, ruled by Saturn. There's a lot of clearing of your own karma from, like, I don't know, past lives, childhood, dealing with childhood trauma, I'm hearing, which I'm going to come back to again, I feel really sick as well. I feel really sick right now holding this card. It's like not only your own karma as well, but like the karma of others. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to put this Devil card down. But it can be really powerful, right? It can be really, you know, sometimes the Devil energy can be used to fuel like the Queen and King of Wands energies, like your wild side, right? Your base instincts, your deeper instincts, and really trusting that. So it's not necessarily bad, it's what we do with it, is what I'm saying. So I'm hearing fighting your natural urges, like suppression. Okay, so then I got the Whale card in reverse, clarified by the Mother of Cups in reverse, and the Buffalo and the Ace of Cups. Now, for whoever I'm reading for, like this, it feels like you're the Buffalo, right? It feels like you're both, really, but like the Buffalo is almost like Nine of Wands energy, like the wounded warrior, somebody who's feeling very, very worn, very grizzled, very old, very Saturn, right? It's like working hard, plowing on, doing what needs to be done, facing the shocks in life, facing the drama, and really keeping your head down and kind of continuing to kind of push through. So it is a very reliable, very steady, very kind of like stoic ancient energy. It's a very, very positive card. So it's somebody who perseveres. And then it's clarified by the Ace of Cups. So persevering because of perhaps a connection to the divine, perhaps a connection to those higher energies of unconditional love, and like the hope and potential for new resources in terms of making new emotional connections, like offering that heart out to others, and being able to do that even though perhaps there's been some suffering in that regard. But the Ace of Cups is like, for me, it's like unconditional love, Mother Mary, God love, and I'm not particularly religious. I think everything is one big thing. So, but again, the Ace of Cups to me is like the interconnectivity, right? The love that's available as a resource for everybody all the time. It never runs dry. The Whale in reverse tells me, now the Whale in the upright is like some really deep secret, like something that's been stirred up right from the bottom of your emotional ocean, that has been very, very hidden, but it's very big, it's very powerful, and it's resurfacing. This feels like somebody's trying to suppress like big feelings, somebody trying to suppress big emotions, somebody trying to almost like, what they're trying to, I'm visually getting, because I keep getting this champagne bottle, right? And it's like, have you ever had like those kids' toys where it's like a squishy toy, or like a pillow, like if you've ever bought a pillow on Amazon, right? And it's like been in like a sealed, not necessarily Amazon, but I don't know. It's been in like a sealed, like a vacuum packed package, or like a stuffed toy. My daughter had it with this seal, right? It was like a massive seal, but it came like vacuum packed. And so you open up the package and it goes, so they're showing me that, like an animal, like a stuffed animal stuffed into a champagne glass, right? Or a champagne bottle. And then it's like, when the cork comes out, this stuffed animal, like this vacuum packed stuffed animal, comes out of the champagne glass. I don't know why I keep saying glass. There could be something about a champagne glass that could be a specific indicator for something, especially if there's like something to do with like putting something in the champagne glass, especially something absorbent like a sponge or something, or like a stuffed toy. I don't know, that could be something for somebody. But it's like, because it's inflated, you can't, you know, it's going to be really difficult to get it back into that champagne bottle. It's like once the cork comes out, the champagne's out, the thing that was inside is out, like, it's like the secret's out, right? And like trying to put the cork back in as well, like it's not going to work. So this feels like trying to suppress something, trying to hold something within, trying to push something down. And it could be, we've got this Mother of Cups in reverse, so it could be this person who's doing this, or this could be somebody involved in this. So it is Cancerian energy, so the Cancers are back in this reading. And in the reverse, I'm sorry, it's not a good energy. So in the upright, brilliant. It's like this is the person who gives you the unconditional love, right? But in the reverse, it's somebody who is overwhelmed by their emotions, somebody who can't handle their emotions. I'm hearing can't handle the truth. Somebody who's like you know, like a drama queen energy, like somebody who is overly dramatic and overly like, you know, like wanting attention, wanting emotional attention, like they can't soothe their own emotions because they're so overcome with it. It's low vibrational Cancerian energy. High vibrational Cancerian energy, great. Low vibrational, oh my god, I cannot be near it. But again, it's like this deep emotions that are like being suppressed, and it's causing emotional imbalance is the way that I'm reading it. So it feels almost like two energies coming together, or this is part of this. I don't know, maybe the offer of love on this side is causing an imbalance in this side. I don't know what that is. It's like over watering the roots of a plant, right? Okay, so next. So how do I show you this? This is a lot, okay? This is a big reading. There's actually two parts as well to this reading. So I'm seeing the Emperor and the Empress. This could be a father and mother. Again, Libra had something like this about the two houses, right? The two branches of the family tree, and how, you know, you are the fruit of the product of that union of the father and the mother, right? You are the fruit, you are the produce. So you could be talking about you, like your own father, your own mother, and their interconnectivity, you know, you being the combination of that. It could be talking about you and your divine partner, right? So you and your husband, you and your wife, you and your divine masculine, divine feminine. It could be talking about both sides of yourself. It's like I'm hearing two trees in a forest. It's like if a tree falls, does it make a sound kind of thing. I don't know why that's coming through, but it is. So it's like the masculine and feminine, right? In some sort of way. And then the Ten of Wands is talking about the interconnected root system. Now, there's some kind of message about coming apart to come back together, coming through. So, how do I show you this? How do I show you? So, yeah, this is coming through as like the root of the tree, like the interwoven connection, the interwoven roots. Now, something seems to be happening where there could be a piece of information, there could be a shock, there could be a something that's said, something that's done. It feels like that thief coming in and taking off the top of the tree, right? The person who comes in and takes the fruits of the labor, because it's coming in with this tower moment. So it's like the top of the tree is removed. Because I want to say it's some kind of truth that's spoken. It's like some kind of double strike energy. It's like somebody who's attacking the emperor, I want to say. Somebody who's trying to knock the emperor down. Like that Ziggy Stardust song. It's like, you know, you grew too tall, you got too close to the sun, therefore, you know, you attracted the wrong kind of attention, you know, people got jealous, people wanted to kind of like bring you down to that level, is the way that is kind of coming through. So a truth that's spoken, something that's shocking. It feels like this hit right to the core, so it didn't just take off the top of the tree, it's like it went down. It was like a lightning strike that goes right down to the foundations of this. Yeah, and like causes, like it hits the root system, it causes a division of the two trees, right? It causes the roots to be torn apart. So again, it could be like literally talking about somebody who's like replanting trees or something, I don't know. But it's like this is just to show, the deep root system, the interconnectedness of this, the Six of Cups, the memories, the nostalgia, the past, and drawing in those resources, right? So that's just why that's there. So then it's like this sword, right? This truth that's spoken, this piece of information, this news, it's like it's trying to divide, right? It's trying to make a hole between these two different energies, the masculine and feminine, the yin and yang. It's trying to separate them, right? Because it's striking down at the very roots of, at the very foundation of whatever this is, you know. And it's like, it feels like it's intended as well. It's intended to divide, but they're still connected, right? Like the tails are still touching. Like there's, so the way I'm seeing it is, it creates an opportunity. So even though, yes, this attack has happened, yes, this division has been attempted, it's like the foundations, the roots are still so strong that it actually causes, it's like, I'm hearing ricochet, it actually causes this attack hitting the root system, it creates space. So there's a division, there's a creation of space, but that space actually allows almost like the sunlight to come in to cause rapid growth. And the growth causes these two energies to come back together. Like, you know, it's like the space creates a bigger bond, is the way it's coming through. So yeah, it's like as this division is attempted to happen, here the two trees, the roots of the trees, the branches of the trees can grow back together with this very, very happy energy. So it's coming through again, like the strike happens, the trees are divided, but in the division, right, there's this new opportunity, this new growth, because this is showing to me as like the Ace of Wands, right? And the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles showing kind of like the tree stump, right? It's like this new growth, these new branches of the tree are actually a huge opportunity. There's a lot of potential here, both like in terms of prosperity and creativity. Like there's room to grow, there's space to grow because of the lightning strike. It's almost like, and again, can you even see like this kind of like starfish energy that's coming through with this kind of connectivity energy? You see what I mean? Like the shape of it. It's like it brings clarity, it brings space, it brings clarity, which causes like a renewal. It's like it's not a death, it's not an ending, it's a judgment card, it's a refresh, it's a renewal, it's a it's new potential for new growth, like, and like very rapid growth, and it's like determined to come back together because it's meant to, right? It's the yin and yang, it's meant to be together. Right, so there's something as well about the Empress who is coming through this Mother of Wands energy, protecting the eggs, right, protecting the fruits. So I don't know what that's about, but it's coming through with that, protecting the fruit. And then again here, like the two growing back together again with this double Ace of Cups, right, with this shared love, with this unconditional love, I want to say as well. So it's like when you cut a tree back, have you ever had that in your garden where it's like the more you cut it back, the faster it grows because you're cutting it in the wrong season, right? So it's like it's actually doing it a favor. It's like in cutting it back, you're removing like the dead leaves, the dead branches, the old branches that were stopping the sunlight getting through to the new growth. Do you see what I mean? So it's like it's almost like the attack has the opposite effect of what was intended. And there's something about secrecy as well with the moon. It's like it's very underhand, I want to say. So again, back to the root system. So here, this is showing me as the root system is attacked, it actually, as this space is made, it actually creates a window of opportunity. And so there's something as well about pulling in your resources, right? So again, with this kind of like stretching out your web, casting your net wide, putting out the mycelium, putting out the spider webs, which is talking about the connectivity, and also like the stickiness of pulling it back in. It's like in comes the help, in comes the Three of Pentacles, the teamwork aspect of drawing resources together, because this is showing me, it's like these two cards kind of came out together. So it's like again, similar to like this and this, right? It's like pulling in the resources, like tightening up the connections to kind of close that gap again. It's like, do you see what I mean? It's like it's almost like what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. It's like, thanks for showing us, like, because that's all the Tower moment is. The Tower moment is just, I was getting Jenga as well. Is it Jenga? No, Kaplunk. I don't know if anyone knows the game Kaplunk. It's like you get a cylinder and it's full of marbles and it's on like, where is it? So I get so much information through and then I forget about it and then it comes back out in readings. So it's like all sticks, like it's all marbles on top of sticks. And so when you pull, like the game is you have to pull the sticks out without making the marbles fall. But it's like the Tower moment, right? The lightning strike, the truth hitting this stick is just showing you that this is where the weakness is, right? This is where the faulty foundation is. So it's almost like, in a strange way, it's like it makes you aware of the vulnerability. It makes you aware of, you know, the part of your foundations that you need to strengthen. So yeah, it's like, as that is made clear to you, you pull in your resources, you know, you get your friends around, you get your family around, a little tiny fly there. I need to just, that's a message in that as well. See, everything that happens in a reading is part of the reading. So that spiders from Mars and the flies, it was talking about, it was making me think about, again, about like how some insects are desirable and some aren't. So obviously like green flies will attack the crops, but you can get ladybirds which don't damage the crops but they eat the green fly. So introducing the right kind of insect to the environment, and that's kind of what the fire ants are talking about as well, right? It's like attracting the right kind of, it's like making the environment right to support the growth, to nurture the plants, and to yeah, so it's like something that could be like, maybe, I don't know if there's any use to spiders in terms of like plants and gardening. Maybe there's specific spiders that are helpful, but it came through with like the ladybirds, right? Like you want the ladybirds to make sure, like, which are an insect, right? Which could be considered a pest, but in the right circumstances, they're useful. So, God, these readings this week. Yeah, so pulling in your resources. All right, okay. Oh, let's keep going. So again, we've got Queen of Wands, King of Wands, and the Knight of Pentacles. It almost feels like these are the Emperor and Empress who are being divided, but they're so passionate, right? With the Ace of Wands energy, it's like they're going to come back together. Knight of Pentacles is like coming up with a plan, doing it properly. So these are the cards that came out for this reading. So I'm just going to lay these out. So we've got Trust the Seasons, Covenant, Sacred Contract. This is the way they came out. I reshuffled them to get the right order, and I knew these two were going to come out together. The Rose Thread, Winter Dream, Gestation Period, Page of Earth, The Giveaway, Willow Spirit, Flexibility. That's that Libra energy coming through. The Bud, the Mirror, what's that? Hirath. Longing for homesickness for the stars, and the Ace of Water. Let me just move all these across so that you can see them properly. I will pull them up to the camera as well as I talk about them, so you'll be able to get like a clearer view of them. And then we've got the clarifiers. So Is This Love by Bob Marley, What Do You Know by Taylor Parks, Used to Love You, John Legend, and Town Without Pity by Jean Pitney. Look who's talking. So I'm just grabbing notes to make sure I've got everything. So Roots Imagine Dragons, the way I wrote it down, it came through with Imagine Dragons. So image, I don't know, somebody has some kind of image of a dragon. Spiders from Mars. Mars came out twice because I was talking about the Leo, Sagittarius and Virgo Mars placements. Don't Throw Stones at Me, Rock Bottom, Build Out, Raise the Foundations. Okay. Hurt Leg, Left Wrist, Arcane. Right, just getting my notes ready. So we start with Trust the Seasons, right? Embracing change, cycles of life, transitions and growth. So again, you can apply this in a lot of different ways. It's coming through with a lot of plant analogy, but it can apply to like real situations as a metaphor as well. So we all have seasons, right? We all have, in Libra's reading, or I'm saying Libra's reading, but I don't know, like in the reading that came through yesterday, it was talking about moon cycles, which again is very Cancerian energy. So feminine cycles, right? Of menstrual cycles, of maybe having like high energy one day or low energy another day. It's not going to be for everybody. Again, we all have different bodies, but you know, that kind of traditional female monthly cycle was kind of coming through. It doesn't even have to be that, right? It can just be, you could be a creative person who has cycles of like being very actively creative, and then going through like the period of like rest and gestation, right? Because we have gestation period here, like the quiet time, the sleep time, the time of reflection, the time of allowing the messages to come into you. So cycles of again, Emperor energy and Empress energy, productivity and rest, you know, active and passive, and there's a time and a place for all these different cycles. Now it could also be talking about your age, right? So if you look very closely here, the lady to the left is a younger version of herself, and the lady to the right is an older version of herself. So the seasons of your life, right? You know, you want to say like what, your 20s, your 30s, those are the years to work hard. You know, your 60s, your 70s, they're the times to kind of, that's the time to kind of rest and enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? Hopefully. Like working with the seasons of your life, doing what needs to be done at the right time, could be something for somebody. And then this thing again about transitions and growth. So the potential for growth. Now there's something about this card and this card together. They are from the same deck, but they actually, when I reshuffled, they came out side by side. And so you can see again this kind of like splitting of the self. It could be somebody who is in this period of gestation, and with the song Going Back to My Roots, and again Capricorn energy have had this for a long time, this idea of like going back over the past, going back over your memories, kind of actively working to have conversations with your past self and your future self, because here it's like she's the same age, so it's like going to the past and going to the future, like revisiting your past self, projecting forward to your future self, and having those conversations with yourself at different stages in your life. So this could, especially in terms of like going back to the past, it's like going back to your childhood self, and perhaps having moments in your childhood, because this comes through here with this card, like moments in your childhood where you felt very alone or unsupported or afraid, right? Going back to those periods in your childhood where, you know, you were given bad advice or you felt like you weren't good enough, and going back through meditation, astral projection, dream work, right? Hypnosis, you know, regression and all that kind of stuff, like going back and cuddling your past self, being the friend that you needed in those dark times, in those lonely times, giving yourself the good advice that you needed in the past, forgiving yourself, understanding that you did the best you could under those circumstances. You were a child, you were going through a period of growth, you were learning, you were experimenting. So allowing yourself the forgiveness of understanding that the action that you would take now is different to the action that you took then, because you have grown as a person, you have matured, you have a higher perspective. So going back to those rock bottom periods and understanding that, you know, you did the best you could at the time, you know, you did the best you could under the circumstances, with the toolbox that life, with the backpack that life had like equipped you with, right? So doing that kind of work in this winter period, in this rest period, in this dream state, and then this inner call, soul-led, the mystic, and living courageously. So it's like coming back out of that, coming back out of this lower world energy of reflection of the past. This card also talks about ancestry, you know, the toolbox that we're handed in life, which is like what we're equipped with by our society, by our parents, by our upbringing, by our schooling. It's like you are equipped with a certain set of values, knowledge, belief system, and you are in a bubble, right? You don't know everything. At no stage in our life do we know everything. Nobody knows everything, and anyone who thinks they do probably knows nothing at all. It's like when you go to university, like I studied humanities, and the first thing that they taught us was the more you learn, the more you realize the less you know, right? It's like the more you learn, the bigger that window grows, the bigger your perspective grows, the more you realize how much there is to learn and how varied perspectives can be. It's like you start to see, instead of seeing in black and white, you start to see all the grey areas in between, and the complexity of human experience and life and situations and history. It's not, we don't know anything. We don't know anything, right? So like those root systems are really not solid at all. Like, if you think they are, they're not. And maybe some of you have gone through that as well. I've been like, I thought I knew where I came from. I thought I knew my family tree. I thought I knew my history. I thought I knew my past. I thought I knew who my ancestors were. And I've got new information that's really shook that and really kind of like stripped those leaves back and showed me the bare branches of like the bare bones of my family's situation. And perhaps that was a shock to you. I got something about being adopted in one of my readings. So again, it's like doing all that work, realizing that you actually just exist in this moment now, right? You cannot actually change the past. You can forgive yourself, you can do that work, but now is the moment of opportunity. And what are you going to do? Are you going to live courageously? Are you going to go for the opportunities that you want? Are you going to sit there crying over spilt milk of the past, like, oh no, my harvest was taken? Or are you going to go, do you know what? I can start ploughing the seeds of the future. I can start putting down, you know, working the fields for next year's harvest and yet next year's crop, right? What's done is done, but we can move forward with extra knowledge, right? Like I said, that tower strike, that Ace of Swords coming in and hitting the foundations, hitting the tower, it just showed you where the weaknesses are. It shows you where the vulnerabilities are, and you can pull those threads together and tighten up that, you know, like reinforce that gap in the foundations. So yeah, really, really cool. It's just, everything's an opportunity. It just depends on how you look at it, right? I know yesterday I had to think about, is your glass half full or empty? And I had like, my coffee cup was literally, I would say half empty because I drank half of it, but I don't know, there's potential there to put more coffee in it, right? So again, perspective. So that came through with, I was like, what is this? What is this? What are these cards trying to tell me? And it was clarified by, is this love? Bob Marley and the Wailers will be together. So again, this thing about coming apart to come together. And you can even see it here again. So it's like splitting apart, coming apart, and then it comes back together again, right? It's like you see like they're returning to each other. So even these cards are showing the same message. So is this love? So it could be that you suddenly, or you went through recently a phase of looking at your relationships and being like, okay, I was raised with this belief system. I was told that this is what love is. You know, especially Capricorn energy, right? It's like love is fulfilling your promises. Love is contracts, it's agreements, it's marriage, it's, you know, being responsible, you know, upholding those family commitments, but then perhaps encountering different perspectives on what love is, especially Ace of Water, which we have again here at the end of the reading, which is unconditional love, right? So it's not get good grades, I'll buy you a car, you know, get good grades, I'll give you something financial and material. Unconditional love is whether you have a car or not, whether you get good grades or not, whether you are a good person or not, I still love you. I'm still here for you. I'll still support you. The support I'm able to give you in different conditions may change, but that love's not going anywhere, right? That's love. So what is love, right? Is this love? Is this not love? And again, this could be why somebody could have gone through some kind of separation period, you know, to really work out, is this love or is this just a karmic contract? You know, is this, you know, what is passion? What is love? These are two different things. But here we have the passion and the cups, right? Like the Ace of Wands coming back together shows me that's a passionate connection with the emotions, right? Watering that root system. So yeah. And again, like this is coming through with sacred contract, covenant. So this does talk about, what are you contracted to? What are your responsibilities? What have you agreed to? Do you want to continue with those agreements? Do you still feel like you're getting a fair deal here? Or do you want to end an old contract and start a new contract? If you have the opportunity to write a new contract, again, karmic contracts, getting into new relationships, what are the terms of that contract? What are you willing to give, and what do you expect to receive? Like what is happening here? And it's beautiful because it's coming through this almost like star guided potential for the future, right? But it's like, what are you committed to? Do you want to continue with this commitment? There's something as well about the role of the scroll and this role of the the snail shell. It's almost like rolling a contract up tight, or protecting yourself with a contract, protecting yourself with legal framework, perhaps. Something about, like, again, pulling things closer, rolling something up tight, and being very quiet, right? The winter period is this gestation period of being very quiet. So again, it could be you're contracted to have a rest period. Again, it could be like, you know, when work signs you off sick, because it's like, you need to take some mental health days, right? It's like you're contracted to take those times. It could be something like that. I'm hearing the seal is broken though. The seal is broken. So again, it could be something that has been, you know, like an NDA, or what is it that the government do, where it's like, you know, like, is it like NASA and not NASA? Like the military in America, right, in like the 60s, and like Roswell and stuff like that, you know, they were like, no, there's no aliens, and now like they've released, because like the statute of Freedom of Information Act and things like that, it's like, because it's been a certain number of years, they're now putting evidence out into the public of like all these old court documents, and you know, political documents and things like. So we're seeing behind the, I'm hearing seeing behind the Iron Curtain, right? But they're showing me like Wizard of Oz, you know, we're seeing behind the scenes, we're seeing behind what goes on behind closed doors now in terms of like political systems. And we're seeing perhaps with the Wizard of Oz, the people, I'm just a man, right? Sorry, they're giving me Lana Del Rey. You're just a man, that's what you do. Beautiful, it keeps coming through. Came through in Stranger Things as well. I was like, I've been channeling that. So yeah, he's just a man. He's just a man. If you, again, like, spoiler alert, just skip ahead 30 seconds. Stranger Things. So Eleven's relationship with Papa, and you know, other characters, they realised towards the end, you know, Papa was just a man, right? Yes, he had a lot of power and influence, but he was just an old man, an old fallible man with feelings, trying to do his best, right? Whether he was right or wrong, that is a different point. So again, this could be something that you've gone through, perhaps with your own father, your own parentage, your own ancestry, where perhaps they did work for, I'm hearing MOD, which is like military of defense, Ministry of Defense. So it's like perhaps they did have things they weren't allowed to talk about, but perhaps now those things are being uncovered. Again, I feel like Capricorn had this. It's like returning to the old house and finding all the old documents, right, after a person had passed away, like clearing out the house and finding all this stuff. So I'm channeling so strongly right now as well, by the way. I don't know if this is hitting the mark for anyone, or if I'm just absolutely talking absolute BS, or channeling some kind of movie. I don't know what I'm channeling, but yeah, it's like the cork is out, right? The thing has been unbottled, the secret's out. You can't put the secrets back in once they're out, right? So yeah, breaking a contract, something like that. Again, with the curse, it's like not being able to talk about this. Again, it gives the feeling of like those two cards together, and I knew these two would come out together when I reshuffled. It's like, again, it's like not being able to speak on something, like legally not being able to speak on something, and that feeling like a curse, you know, not being able to break the seal of something. And it can be, you know, perhaps if somebody did work for I'm hearing spy agency, right? It's like if somebody did work for the government or the military, or, you know, the court system in some sort of way. It's like jury duty, right? You're not allowed to talk about the case. I'm hearing under wraps. So it's like you're not allowed to talk about it. And that can feel like a curse, because what if you need to talk about it? What if there's like some trauma involved in that, or PTSD or something, where it's like, I have to be able to talk about this. I can't deal with this. These emotions are overwhelming. I can't bottle this up. It's going to come out. And then especially like people who've been in the military, like PTSD, it can come out in really awful ways, where people get like violent, or, you know, they abuse substances. So it's like understanding perhaps somebody's perspective, again, I'm feeling like this historical thing, like understanding who somebody was and what they were going through, and being unable to talk about that and having to bottle it all up. It could have been actually really emotionally traumatic for them, and this could have come out in ways where it kind of damaged your relationship, you know. It if this is your reading, obviously if it's not resonating, it's not your reading. It might not be anybody's reading. I might be just channeling the movie, but it's like if you, like, you know, their behavior, because of the stress that they were under, because of the emotions that they weren't allowed to share and express and talk through, you know, they could have actually been under a lot of stress and mental, like, duress, emotional duress. So, and that could have come out with toxic behaviors that kind of really damaged your relationship with that person. If this person's on the other side, I think they have a lot of regrets over that. I'm channeling, so I'm feeling it. You know, they wish they could have talked to you. They wish they could have opened up and shared, and, you know, having the regrets for the way that damaged the relationship, perhaps. I don't know. But again, the curse talks about ancestry, about ancestral curses in terms of, like, it can talk about your DNA, you know, the body you've inherited, and, you know, the perks or the problems with that kind of came through in yesterday's reading. But also, you know, belief systems, opinions, mindsets that you're raised with, whether or not that works for you or not, rethinking those things, especially with all this, like, looking back at the past. This was clarified by What Do You Know, Taylor Park. So again, it's like maybe seeing something that you shouldn't have seen, like maybe like a contract being out on the table and you're reading it and being like, oh my God. So, like, somebody confronts you, what do you know? You know, for your own safety, for the safety of, you know, it's like a needs to know basis. What do you know? So I don't know, maybe have a listen to that song. It could be something else for you. Okay, so gestation period, like processing all this, it not being the right time to speak, perhaps. Now, this Page of Earth, this gorgeous Page of Earth, which I love this card so much, and I feel like this, every time I see it, I feel this motherly protection over it, because when I first got this deck, when I was putting it back in the box, I damaged it. You can see it's creased here, and it's coming through as like falling down the well, basically. It's like, can you see he's kind of on top of this hill? And the Page of Earth talks about preparing well, coming up with a plan, looking at the lay of the land, you know, getting all the resources together that you need. So it's like planning properly, and it came out in reverse. So there could be a situation, especially from somebody's childhood or with somebody's child, where they didn't have the resources they needed, or they didn't plan properly. Perhaps they went out on an adventure and had an accident, because it's coming through as a broken leg, or a, like, I'm hearing femur, like a damaged, you know, like falling over and hurting your ankle kind of thing, like falling down and falling into this lower world energy. So I don't know if somebody's literally like fallen down into like a mine shaft, or just there's been some kind of drop from a height to a lower world. It could also just be talking about that Ziggy Stardust song of like somebody who's kind of been knocked off the pedestal a little bit. You know, some people have tried to bring them down a touch. Again, it was coming through with, I was feeling it on my leg and I was feeling it on my wrist. So again, I don't know if, especially the left side, if somebody's fallen on the left side, that's actually the right side, but I was feeling it on my left side. Yeah, this card talks about, for me, it's that age where you are coming out of childhood and just going into adolescence, right? Just going into your teenage years. And still, it's very Piscean, even though it's an earth sign card, it's very, very Piscean for me. It reminds me as well of my little boy. So it's like still being young enough to be able to play make-believe, right? To play cowboys and Indians, or, you know, fairy king, or whatever it is that you're playing, like cops and robbers. Still having the imagination, still being free enough to go out and, you know, I don't know, pretend to be Indiana Jones or Lara Croft or something in the woods. But then, like, at that stage, at that pivot point where you're about to grow out of that, perhaps you're going to go to high school, and you know, there's gonna be more peer pressure to kind of fit in, and kind of put those childish toys away. I hate that quote. Is it like Robert Frost? It's like, time to put away childish things. It's like, no, I'm going to be Peter Pan, right? I'm going to be Peter Pan forever. I'm still going to play with Barbies when I'm 40. There's nothing you can do about it, because I'm an adult and I get to make my own choices. I felt like the Lonely Island then. I'm an adult. Yeah, like, you know, whose business is it if you want, you know, you want to still engage in that Piscean imagination realm. But again, like, they need to plan properly, they need to prepare, they need to, maybe scouts as well, they need to know how to navigate those environments. But yeah, this idea of like falling into this lower world. Now, again, it's kind of like, this is coming through to me almost like Demeter searching for Persephone, right? It's like, where has my child gone? Where did they go? Because, of course, Hades sweeps up Persephone and takes her to the underworld. So it's like, it's coming through like this is kind of almost the motherly energy looking for a child. Where is my child? It's like the child's fallen. It's like below. She's almost like passing him by, not being able to find him because he's like down here. Again, with that kind of Piscean energy, it could be talking about somebody who's like lost in their own inner world, lost in their own memories, lost in their own imagination, right? So they can't be contacted at that time because they're doing this. If it's to me talking about shadow world, shadow work, right? Which is a Freudian concept of going, like looking back over the past, right? Looking at like finding the demons, finding the shadows within your own psyche, and facing them and fighting those battles. Very similar to Never Ending Story that kept coming out a few weeks ago. It was talking about, of course, he's reading a book, right? This is all in his imagination, but in doing so, he's growing up, he's maturing, he's facing difficult decisions and difficult situations that's causing him to really go through some very mature processes in his imagination, right? So, I mean, arguably, same with Wizard of Oz, because we're talking about Wizard of Oz as well, like Dorothy going to, you know, Oz and, you know, making friendships and working out what is friendship and who do we trust? Do we trust the man behind the curtain? You know, is he just a man? You know, is he just as fallible as I am? Which actually puts you into a really powerful position, because this is what happened with me with teacher training. I was like, you know, seeing these terrible teachers, and I was like, well, if they can do it, right, if they qualified as a teacher, I can't do a worse job than them. So it's like those people who set the bar low and we think, you know, they're just human, they're fallible. Me too. I guess there's no reason why I can't do that job then. So it's a grounding, you know, it's a leveling experience to see people who perhaps we put up on pedestals, you know, perhaps falling down and, you know, having an illness and being vulnerable, or, you know, being emotional or having mental health issues. When we see our heroes fall, it really is a grounding experience where we recognize the frailty and the fragility and the humanity of life and of people. And we recognize that it is really a level playing field. You know, politicians, pop stars, you know, entrepreneurs with loads of money, you know, Bill Gates and Elon Musk and, I don't know, Barack Obama, they are just people. They are just flesh and blood. They are just humans. They do have emotions. And okay, they might have a brilliant framework around them. They might have a huge amount of resources or, you know, networking. But they are just one person. They are human and fallible. They have feelings. They have emotions. They have messy relationships, right? Messy relationships with their partners, with their wives, with their children. Because humans do, right? Nobody's perfect. Nobody's Superman. And Superman wasn't even human. He was an alien, right? So don't try and be Superman. Let yourself be fallible. Used to love you, John Legend. I used to love you. There's nothing that I wouldn't do. Went through the fire for you. Anything you want me to. But I'm tired of living this lie. It's getting harder to justify. I realize I just don't love you. Again, it could be leaving one relationship to start a new relationship where there is love, where you recognize what that is. Because perhaps what you thought was love was actually responsibility. Responsibility and love go hand in hand, right? But it's not necessarily the same thing. Like doing what everybody else does, doing what your ancestors have done, you know, playing that game of life, it doesn't always give you emotional fulfillment, because it's not necessarily love. It's structure. It's I'm getting married because that's what you do after you're engaged. I'm having a baby because that's what you do after you get married, right? I'm getting a house together because it's what you do when you're married and have a baby and you're engaged. It's like you're doing it because everybody else around you is doing it. It's not necessarily like, what are the foundations of that relationship? So some of you are coming apart from one relationship to start a new relationship because you recognize what love is now. Others of you are growing apart because you're questioning if this is love, and you are very, very firmly coming back together. So again, it depends on your relationship. So used to love you. So there's this thing as well about building the foundations up and throwing stones. So Imagine Dragons had this thing about don't throw stones at me. And this giveaway, can you see how it's like these are the stones. Somebody's throwing stones at them, right? Trying to knock them down. It's like David and Goliath as well came through in yesterday's reading as the advice song. If you want to go and check that out. So it's like these are the stones being thrown. But it's like, okay. So there's this thing again about recognizing the nature of something and turning that to your advantage, like understanding which insects are pests and how you can pull in like the good pests, right? The ladybirds. There is definitely something coming through about Stranger Things. Again, no spoilers, but if you know anything about Stranger Things and the Upside Down, there is a shared consciousness in that realm. So I was thinking, like, if there's a shared consciousness of the below realm, there's also a shared consciousness of the light realm as well, right? What do you want to tap into? Do you want to tap into the underground root system, the dark realm, the shadow realm, the afterlife? Do you want to put your branches up to the sky and tap into the star potential? Do you want to be a link to both, right? So something interesting about that, I don't know, just my ponderings. You can really see as well, like the root system here hanging down, like the connectivity, very, very Stranger Things. There's something as well about, yeah, I'm going back to my roots, right? I'm going back to my roots. Like the stones coming down, it's like, let them throw stones at you and then use the stones, right? Like those stones are actually a resource. So they're giving you a resource. So the way it was coming through was like, if you throw money down a well for long enough, the bottom level of that well is going to raise, right? Because not only are you putting like this metal down there, but you're also putting like stones on top of it, like leaves will fall in, there'll be like debris down there. It's going to raise the bottom of that well, right? The well is going to be less deep. And eventually, if you throw enough stones down that well, the earth is going to rise above the water, right? It's going to give you a platform. It's going to give you stability. So it's talking about raising the foundations. Again, this could be like if you live in a place that's likely to flood, you might want to raise your foundations, right? Allow it to flood because you're above that water level now. So yeah, it's talking about like how, again, talking about these, like, was it Richard Branson or somebody? I think they did it in Saudi Arabia as well. Like created islands, you know, they put enough dirt and mud and stones down and it creates an island, right? So creating new territory. Really cool little message coming in there for somebody, like let them throw stones and use the stones for you know, for your own foundations. Flexibility, again, this is talking about the willow tree, which was going through in Libra's reading, the feminine tree energy, because the masculine tree energy came through as this solid oak energy. Again, just to kind of show you the two different trees, if I can find them. Where have you gone, trees? You know, if there's the Emperor. Where's the Emperor's gone? Where has the Emperor's gone? Well, maybe I'm having trouble finding each other. So yeah, so you can see like the Emperor is like this tall kind of solid looking tree, and then the Empress is coming through as more like a vine or a willow, more flexible. It can wrap around more. So I was seeing like in the visual yesterday, like two trees kind of almost being like spliced together, right, to have like the best of both worlds, the best of both sides of the family tree, something like that, sharing resources, I guess, and supporting each other to reach further. So yeah, the flexibility willow spirit is just talking about the Empress energy, really, like looking for this little boy who's gone into this hibernation period because they're doing this deep soul searching, right? They've gone into that shadow realm. Makes me again think of Stranger Things, you know, when they're in the same space but in different realms. So yeah, I don't know, somebody has lost a child or something, like they're just on the other side. Okay, so then we come to the bud, right? So the new growth, like the thing growing back together, potential, promise, it's about to happen, keep going. So there is this coming back together energy. There is this drawing, like casting the net out wide and drawing back together. Again, I don't know if this is something that you're doing energetically or astrally, but it's very cool. Longing for home, homesick for the stars, and like look at the beautiful colours of these. Again, it's like, so it could be talking about astral projection. I've also got this colour here. These are all different decks, by the way. like this caterpillar that came through in Pisces' reading, which was like this really quirky character, like this really unusual, again, could be Capricorn, like again, like look at David Bowie, or who's that other Capricorn? Dolly Parton, love her. Like, you know, people who stand out, they're quirky, they're strange, but intriguing, you know, because they've got this like alien-like quality to them. So longing for home, homesick for the stars, wanting that, you know, wanting to build higher, wanting to get out of the swamp, wanting to get out of the murky root system, the bottomless well, right, of like murky emotions, and to use those stones to kind of build up out of that and build higher. Can you see how this person's higher? And trying to reach the higher vibrational levels, the higher energies of, you know, and it's that thing as well that keeps coming through about like, if you lie down with dogs, you'll get fleas. Like if you hang out with underworld type people, you know, you're gonna, you know, that's gonna be what your life is. If you hang out with high vibrational people, you know, that's gonna be what your life is. So your life is what you make of it, you know, based on the choices that you make. And perhaps somebody's trying to work their way out of some kind of difficult past to get to those higher energies, but it is happening, right? It says, and you end with the Ace of Cups, which is beautiful, and it's like carrying one of those stones, right? Carrying one of those. And there's this like game of volleyball happening in yesterday's reading where like, I'll pass it to you, you pass it back, right? I'll improve it, I'll improve it, you improve it. Like we'll grow this thing together. So it feels like this shared back and forth energy, of course, because the Ace of Water is the Ace of Cups, and there's two cups here being shared between the Emperor and the Empress. So yeah, unconditional love from two different sides, right? And that came through with Town Without Pity by Gene Pitney. Now that song, to me, my reference for that song is Look Who's Talking, with John Travolta and Kirstie Alley, I want to say, where he's trying to entertain her and he's kind of doing this dance and mime to that song, and it's just a really nice moment where you know, because they have had quite a combative relationship, and you know, there's mutual attraction in that moment. He's making her laugh, and it's a really nice scene between those two people. Yeah, that's what that means to me, especially with the Ace of Cups being attached. I'm just gonna have a quick read of it, because I was getting a lot of stuff about, like, you know, like Rhinestone Cowboy and you know, Stars by Duncan Lawrence and all this stuff about being oh, what's that one by Wolf Alice as well? I think it's kind of strong here. The vibes are kind of wrong here. What's that one? I won't say no. I won't say no. I'll give it a shot for a spot at the top. A girl like me, would you believe I'm in Los Angeles? Don't lose sight. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff about like trying to get that platform, trying to get higher, trying to get the reward, trying to get the recognition, trying to make a reputation for yourself, and like being knocked down. So there's a lot of stuff like that coming through. So Town Without Pity by Gene Pitney. When you're young and so in love as we, and bewildered by the world we see, why do people hurt us so? Only those in love would know what a town without pity can do. Okay, my video cut out. My phone tried to install an update. So yeah, like, only those in love would know what a town without pity can do. It's like, if you don't have that Ace of Cups open, you know, you can engage with lower vibrational energies and be very tough. But is it really going to reward you, or are you just chasing things that, like, are not actually ever going to emotionally satisfy you? Like, that's the devil at play, isn't it? Like chasing money, chasing prestige. But when you get in touch with that Ace of Cups energy, which is like that universal connective God love energy, real love, right? Unconditional love, Mother Mary love. Everything else seems cheap, and like people are wasting their time chasing the wrong things, right? But then you can't exist in that environment anymore when you see it. When you get to the higher consciousness, the higher realms, when you ascend, you're not going to connect with those unconnected energies anymore, right? If we stop to gaze upon a star, right, stars, people talk about how bad we are, right? Because you're not hustling, right? It's like, how dare you rest? How dare you dream? How dare you hope? Ours is not an easy age. We're like tigers in a cage, right? King and Queen of Wands energy. Like wanting to get out in the woods, wanting to do, you know, follow those natural instincts. but being caught up in a system. Tigers in a cage. The young have problems, many problems. We need an understanding heart. Why don't they help us, try to help us, before this clay and granite planet falls apart? Take these eager lips and hold me fast. I'm afraid this kind of joy can't last. How can we keep our love alive? How can anything survive when these little minds tear you in two? What a town without pity can do. So, like, let them throw stones, right? Yeah, it really has this kind of trying to knock you from your pedestal energy to it. Can I get some advice? I'm going to pull a dragon card for advice. But can I get advice, please? Can I get some advice, please, in a song? Can I get some advice for where to take this next? Talk about higher energies, right? Tap Bar by Kula Shaker. Jinta Veda Veda Tava Tava. Like a summer, like the flower and the scent of summer, like the sun and the shine, while the truth may come in strange disguises, send a message to your mind. At the moment you wake from sleeping and you know it's all a dream, while the truth may come in strange disguises, never knowing what it means. For you will be tomorrow, like you have been today. If this was never ending, what more can you say? Okay, cool shaker tap bar. Let's get you a dragon card. I love that song. Like, while everybody was listening to like Oasis and all the mainstream popular songs, like Oasis are great, right? I liked Oasis too. I was like dancing around with a very culturally cultural appropriation, like a bindi, because it was in fashion at the time. Like, if you like, you can Google like images of Gwen Stefani with like a bindi on her forehead, like trying to open my third eye, burning incense. I love that indie period in especially like British music. Confidence. Anything else, please? Okay, that's what we want. One more. Okay. Yeah, one more. Okay. Mordwin. Oh, nice. That sounds very oldie English, magical stuff, doesn't it? Okay. So let's read confidence. I was meant to be doing other things today. I was going to do yoga, and then I was going to put some makeup on, and then I was going to record some videos. Right. I've got a load of laundry as well to fold. It's like 4 loads of laundry that are just sat there waiting to be folded. Call upon this dragon when your confidence has taken a knock, or when you feel you are unable to trust your own judgment. He gives you the hope and courage you need to carry on. He encourages you to dig deep and take the next step. He will be beside you all the way, supporting you as you go. He has beautiful dragon energy that you can call upon in times of personal crisis and need. Confidence is an awesome dragon to work with, but be warned, he can also be forthright. He says, you can't sit there wallowing in self-pity. What a town without pity, right? You have a job to do, so get on with it. He continues, you have many talents to draw upon and use, and yes, you have taken a few knocks, right? And bruises along the way, but that is life. Your infinite abilities are yet to be explored and uncovered. Your task now is to trust yourself, your inner wisdom and your intuition, follow your feelings and listen to your inner guidance. This might well be scary, and you will be taking yourself out of your comfort zone, but playing safe doesn't aid your personal growth or spiritual development. If you have no idea what course to take, ask for guidance, but remember, he is not in any way soft or fluffy. He will tell or show you what you need to do bluntly and put things in your path that you need to understand. Very Saturn energy, right? Look for the lessons from there you will begin to develop exponentially, both spiritually and personally. You will find your way under his compassionate guidance. That feels like, it does feel like Emperor Hierophant, like Saturn energy, right? Part of what confidence teaches us is that we are responsible for our own experiences, however painful or joyous. We need to learn to live, love, forgive, heal, and move on. So I was getting something through this morning about forgiveness. Like, you don't forgive to be like a martyr. You don't forgive to be, oh, I'm such a forgiving, understanding person, I'm so close to God. That's not the reason why you forgive. You forgive because if you have ongoing resentment and you know, unresolved issues with another person or a situation, you're actually energetically bonding yourself to that personal situation. Yeah, you're energetically bonding yourself to bad energy through holding on to resentments. You have to release. If you can't forgive, you can at least release yourself from that situation, release the people, and energetically break those connections. Because if they are bad connections, even if you have a good relationship with somebody but you've got like these lingering resentments, you're holding on to bad energy which doesn't serve you. So to free yourself, to help you rise to higher levels, you have to learn to forgive, or at least release, right? You forgive for yourself, for your own soul, whether that person deserves it or they don't. Where are we? Blah blah blah. I do not say blah, blah, blah. We need to live, love, forgive, heal, and move on. He's probably one of the toughest dragons I have encountered, yet he's also gentle and caring. Tough love, I think it's called. Although he's straight talking, he does have huge compassion for us human doings. Bear in mind that if you get a telling off from him, dragon style. But remember, just a man, that's what they do. It's funny as well, like, look who's talking. Like, what do you know? Look who's talking. Like, again, this thing about silencing, just with the, like, interesting. I don't know. If somebody's breaking a silence. Mordwin. Head in my hands as she colored me blue. I don't think I can sing, by the way. I just can't help myself. Only you are the master of your own destiny. Mordwin is an awesome character, hugely powerful and all-encompassing. He will open doors, put people in or situations in your path. That talked about that as well. Which all lead, so that's like Ganesha energy. The elephant god, right? He's the god of obstacles. He puts obstacles in your path to redirect you if you're going the wrong way, and he removes obstacles from your path if you need assistance with that. So just be aware of that. He will open doors, put people or situations in your path, which all lead you to living your divine purpose. It's his responsibility to guide you to fulfill the contract you made in spirit before coming to earth for this incarnation. He says, you are the power, accept it as your own. Only you are the master of your destiny. Again, this thing about ownership and not passing the blame, right? And I'm not talking about victim blaming here. I'm talking about understanding that you only have personal autonomy. You can't actually control other people, like, or situations. So releasing yourself from the false responsibility that you are in some way, like, responsible for the actions of others, and also recognizing your own autonomy in that situation, your own control, your own willpower to have control over how you respond, right, in a situation, how you react to a situation, the choices that you make when life happens, right, or other people's BS appears. Like, you don't control them. You cannot change them. You cannot. There's no point crying over the spilt milk of others. You can pick yourself up. You can dust yourself off. You can say, do you know what? I have my own personal power, and this is what I'm going to do with it, right? I don't care what anyone else is doing. But again, we're going through with that idea of networking and casting your net wide. It could be talking about pulling certain people closer to you, right? But there's also this thing about, with this throwing stones energy and the fire ant energy and the spider and the ace of cups, it's like, and this is why I was given the key in my meditation, because I responded to aggression with love, right? I responded to conflict and differences of opinions with love. I just put more love into the situation. So it's like something about, like, the stones being thrown and putting more water in. It's like you're showing me somebody going like that over the top of the cup as well, like, no more water, right? So it's like, again, somebody can't deal with emotions. You've got the Mother of Cups and the Whale in the reverse. Like, somebody cannot deal, like, so emotionally overwhelmed, right? It's like they have to get back to the solid ground. Like, they have to get out of the water and get back to the solid ground because the emotions are so overwhelming. So there's something about that. But there's something as well about taking what life throws at you, whether it's like people throwing stones, whether it's people's opinions, people being aggressive, and pulling them closer, like actually embracing them and seeing that they're just people. You know, you're not a terrible person. They're not terrible people. They're just people who act the way people act, right? And you cannot educate people or change their mind or change their opinion if you push them away. It just makes them further reinforce their own boundaries, their own islands, right? So now they're showing me islands. We only change minds, right? Like I don't know why you're getting a lot of military stuff like the SAS. It's like hearts and minds. So they say there's a policy. I don't know if it's still ongoing, but at some point there was a policy in the SAS of hearts and minds, right? Going into a situation and not just fighting, right? Not just going in there and shooting guns, but going in there and speaking to the local people, understanding what their local problems are, like what are the situations and how can they help, right? How can they help? So it's not going into a situation and being like, you know, the Avengers, I'm going to come in and like destroy the place and be like, you know, Team America, fuck yeah. It's like, it's not that. It's going in and being like, how can we be of service to you? How can we help you? How can we make the situation right? And going in with compassion and going in with open arms and building those connections and building that trust. It's like when you make the connections with those people, you can actually reach them. If you're both on separate islands, you can't reach each other, right? You cannot communicate, you cannot have those emotional links. So it's like use the water, use the connectivity of the astral realm and tap into that. And if you want to use that as fuel, use it as fuel, right? I don't know what I'm talking about either. It just comes through, right? I just channel stuff. It happens. Only you are the master of your own destiny. His message is clear, so ignore him at your peril. You have a job to do, so let's get on with it. You have the tools and the knowledge that you need. Your self-doubt hinders you, so have confidence, right? Your self-doubt hinders you. Your time is now. The world needs your light. Step into your heart, Ace of Cups, and I will take the journey with you. He continues, your role is to take your light out into the world with me as your guide. Together we are the master creators. As you discover your life purpose, acknowledge your fears and self-doubt, but do not be bound by them, for they cloud your truth. Follow your heart, follow your Ace of Cups, follow the love, right? Feeling your way with truth and integrity. Honesty was really important to me the other day. I asked the universe, like the sun suddenly came through the window and kind of like shone on me. It was like, oh, hi God. Hello, what would you like to communicate, right? Like the alien beam, like the tractor beam. It was like, hi. Sun blasting through the windows and illuminating me like an angel. Sorry, that's my Leo rising talking. That's just overinflated sense of ego. Let's just roll with it for a second. There's a story in it, I swear. And I was like, what do you want from me? And I randomized a song. And I got Honesty by Billy Joel. And again, being a Libra, like integrity, honesty, what's it? Veritas, that ancient Roman concept of veritas, being verifiable, being reliable, right? Because you're truthful and honest. That's what is being asked of me, right? Because you know, the devil plays in the shadows, and if you're shining a light, if you're being integrity, if you're having integrity and it's coming from the heart, there's nowhere for that energy to hide, right? So that's what I was told. I don't know. I'm just a messenger, guys. Right, I'm going to leave it there because I'm being a dick. I hope this reading was helpful to somebody. I hope it made sense to somebody. I might just be predicting TV shows. I never know. Yeah, I'm going to go and do my yoga and formal washing and hopefully make a nice, fun video. So I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.